The minor character that I wish to talk about here is even more minor and has a small presence in the story than the anonymous orc I featured a few weeks ago. Namely, while the anonymous orc is featured in 13 paragraphs, this character is only talked about in 2 paragraphs. I said that I could just read those lines to you when it came to the anonymous orc, but in the case of this guy, I could just put that text on the screen and that would be that. The character that I wish to talk about is Obrahim the Traveler, the master architect of the Scourge. He is only mentioned in an in-game book, the Compendium of Fallen Heroes, which appears in Acheron's the Ebon Hold, and in the Death Knight starting zone, the Scarlet Enclave. Originally just a lowly skeletal peon, Obrahim quickly rose up the ranks of the Scourge and even became one of Kel'thuzad's most trusted advisors. Now, Obrahim is especially interesting to me because, from a storytelling point of view, he seems to be an attempt by Blizzard to attribute much of the older lore we have on Scourge architecture to just one man, or, well, skeleton in this case. Namely, we knew that the Scourge based much of their architecture, especially early on Nerubian architecture, and sometimes even repurposed it. The greatest example of that is the necropolis Naxxramas, once a Nerubian ziggurat that was the site of Anub'arak's last stand against the Scourge, which the Undead then repurposed and floated up with magic to become one of their first and most powerful necropolises. Well, we learned from the Compendium of Fallen Heroes that it was Obrahim that was, quote, pivotal in the conception of Naxxramas, and that he took much of his early inspiration in the architecture of the Scourge from the architecture of the Nerubians and the magic of orc warlocks. Now, some have taken the statement, pivotal in the conception of Naxxramas, to be a retcon of Naxxramas' original backstory, sort of implying that Obrahim built the thing from scratch, but I don't really think so. The term used is pivotal in the conception, so I believe that he was the one who conceived of the idea of turning the stationary ziggurat into a floating fortress, and that he also perhaps conceived of the means to do so, again thanks to his stated interest in the magic of orc warlocks. Now, since Kel'thuzad joined the Scourge after Naxxramas was nearing completion as a necropolis, it's safe to assume that Obrahim became his advisor only afterwards. This also implies that he was originally, before being turned into an undead, an inhabitant of Northrend, probably a long dead one, either a human or a Vrykul, possibly, though I think unlikely, a nice troll, since again the Scourge Plague had not reached Lordaeron yet. After Naxxramas, Obrahim also masterminded the creation of Acheron, a necropolis stated to be even more powerful and carry more troops than Naxxramas. He also, presumably due to his high-ranking position, enjoyed the liberty to travel the world on his lonesome in search of knowledge and inspiration. This is also where he meets his end. The last known information on Obrahim was that he was last seen, quote, several years ago. Note that this was during Wrath of the Lich King, so it's even more years nowadays, when he left to study the ruins of Zin-Azshari in Kalimdor and never returned. And, well, really, anything could have happened to him. He was just a lone skeleton, even one presumably adept, at least in the theory of magic. And from his accomplishments, as noted by the title of the book he is in, he's considered a fallen hero by the rest of the Scourge. So, this was me turning 2 paragraphs of information into an entire 4 to 5 minute long video. Thank you all for watching and listening to me. I'll post the new poll for the next minor character showcase tomorrow in my community tab as usual, please vote, and I'll see you all next time. Farewell.